and did say that as a head of the Commonwealth, these are important issues that he needs to continue advocating, which then brings the issue of the relevance of the Commonwealth. And I do believe that when the Commonwealth rallies around important issues that impact on the lives of ordinary people, contemporary issues such as poverty, such as unemployment and inequality that is widespread in many countries of the Commonwealth other than those who are part of the developed economy countries in the Commonwealth, it is then going to stand the Commonwealth in good stead. And as he himself looks at issues such as the environment, things like fisheries, things like island states, the challenges that they face, that in itself is going to make the Commonwealth relevant. And it's, in my view, good to have a head of the Commonwealth who continues to build on the foundation that Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth II was able to build on, and he will take that forward. So I think it is an important aspect that one needs to recognize about the Commonwealth.
Mr. President only forgot to ask his second question, so we'll give him that.
And then the last.
Highlights.
Oh yes, the highlights. Oh yes, you asked about the highlights. I just wrote here high, and I didn't know what high meant. Yes, there have been a number of highlights. I think the key one is just that a visit like this helps to consolidate and lift the importance of the relationship between the UK and South Africa. It is when I think all key role players, be they business, be they cultural workers or artists and everyone else, see that there are good relations between the two countries, that they are then able themselves to go for great opportunities. So it is important that relations between nations should be consolidated and lifted to a higher level. At the economic level, which was really the heart of our visit here, we were able, one, to interact with government to get their commitment on the just energy transition, two, to look at trade issues and get their positive disposition, though we are still going to get involved in further talks. And three, on investment, the government continues to see South Africa as the gateway into the African continent, not by sheer positioning at the tip of the continent, but also in terms of what we have to offer. We're the most industrialized country on the continent. We have all the wonderful attributes, a good financial system. We've got a manufacturing base which companies can invest in to be able to use South Africa as a launchpad for products that can be sold into the rest of the continent. So we've got all that it takes to do good business, not only with South Africa, but with the rest of the continent. And I think the third one for me was the education one. The education one where the UK continues to play an important role in education cooperation between the two countries, and also just getting more opportunities for our young people to come and learn here is important. The fourth one is the health and research aspect. We cooperated very well during COVID, although we had a bit of a hiccup with Omicron, but in the main we have benefited a great deal from cooperating with the UK from a research point of view. I would say the fifth one was in an unexpected area, which is I would call it environmental issues, but particularly when we went to the Kew Gardens on the horticultural side of things, where we were able to see how our own students are studying at the Kew Gardens Institute or Learning Center about plants, about conserving and preserving plants. And we got to hear that plants that were taken from, seeds that were taken from South Africa 200 years ago, that were like captured from the Dutch and ended up in the UK and preserved in a fairly sort of ordinary way, were found in a pouch, and they were replanted and they germinated. So 200 years of plants from South Africa were replanted here. But the real cherry on top is that through cooperation with Kew Gardens, we are now setting up our own seed bank, where we will have the capability to store our seeds, to ensure that plants that are threatened with extinction are preserved for posterity. And this is born out of the relationship between South Africa and the UK, particularly our Kirstenbosch Botanical Gardens and Kew Gardens, the relationship that has spanned more than 100 years, but more specifically, real good cooperation over 25 years. So those, for me, were the key highlights. And of course, the sixth one is to open up the gateways for tourism to be taken to another level between the UK and South Africa. And of course, at the trade level, if you really like this aspect, is that we could see more wines from South Africa being brought here. So that will give many people their happy hour when more wine is brought to the UK.
Mr. President, Ollie Barrett from ENCA again. I just wondered if you could briefly characterise the personal rapport you found with the King, with the Prime Minister, and with Keir Starmer as well, who I think I heard you say you'd left your vote for him in his constituency. was that an endorsement?
Well, with Keir Starmer, we had a meeting, a wonderful meeting with the leader of the opposition, the Labour Party, and as you well know, putting on my party hat, the Labour Party and the ANC have historical links, long, mutually beneficial relationship. So I wished him well in whatever process that they will get involved in. And yes, I said, I left my vote there for him, so he must go look for the vote, because we went to his constituency. The personal rapport with all three, as you correctly say, is very warm, very positive, and very engaging as well. Starting off with His Majesty the King. I had met the King on a number of occasions, either when he came to South Africa or when we were here, particularly during the last Commonwealth meeting, Heads of State meeting that was held here. So we've had exchanges, and I'm a great admirer for the work that he has been doing. And as I said at the dinner, that he's been like a lone voice over many years on environmental issues and climate change. And now the world has awakened to the type of message that he has been putting across. So the rapport and the engagement between the two of us is at a good level. And with the Prime Minister as well, we had wonderful discussions, and I had met him at one of the global meetings. I think it was at COP27, so that is good. So on the whole, and I guess relationships are often really sort of the real test of whether there'll be really good relationships between nations. So at a personal level, I've been able to relate to all of them, and I do relate to all of them. And but more importantly, for the people in business, as people in Parliament as well, So it's been a very fulfilling for all of us who have been on this visit, ministers, myself, and our officials. It's been a very fulfilling visit, and I must say that this visit was well organized, so well planned, and the planning started way before even when Her Majesty the Queen was still alive. They started planning for this visit, and we were truly honored that His Majesty the King was willing to take it forward even after the passing of Her Majesty the Queen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Sorry, we don't usually get the opportunity, but I did want to ask, you spoke about the ANC now, and when you go home, you're
Yes.
going towards the ANC conference.
Yes, sir.
There are a number of important engagements coming up. One of them is the debate in Parliament on the Phala Phala report.
Yes.
You have major plans going into, if you're re-elected for your second term.
Yes.
How are you feeling ahead of that debate, and are you concerned that this matter may lead to your premature removal from office?
No.
Because of the seriousness?
No, I think I've put my case forward, and of course, let us leave it to that panel to come up with the outcome, and we cannot prejudge it. I can't, you can't, and we leave it in the hands of the panel. So they are best placed to deal with this matter. So any form of speculation really is misplaced. Let's leave it to the panel to report, and anything else that flows from that, we handle then. And we've proven capable of being able to handle issues as they happen, and so let's leave all that to that process.
The debate?
The debate as well. I think the debate will ensue. I'm not a member of Parliament, so I will not be in the debate, and so they will be debating on the report, and whatever the report will be saying, they will debate it, and so let's allow all those processes. And the good thing with our country is that we follow due process. We are governed by the rule of law, and this is when the test of our democracy really comes to the fore. This is when the test of our constitutional principles are put on display, and everyone else must sit back and see how that whole process eventuates. So I am a great believer in our democracy, in our constitution, and I think let's all have faith in our democracy and constitution. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, colleagues. Thank you, Mr. President.
You're welcome.
There's a request for a group picture, Mr.
A
President.
group picture with
Amanda.
Amanda.
So,
Where do you want to take a picture?
yeah, we'll take a picture.
No, I'm sorry.